should get the recording by tomorrow morning or at first thing in the morning because I will do them when I get to the Tonkawa campus. It's much easier for me to download and upload when I'm actually on campus because it don't have to worry about bandwidth so much. So just as a few updates, one is we are going to tonight, what I'm going to cover is I'm going to cover the next laboratory. We're going to work a pretty extensive problem in one-dimensional motion. And then we are going to do some descriptions about vectors. And I know we covered a little bit about vectors in chapter 1. We're going to do a little bit of review of that, but we're getting ready to get into motion in 2 dimensions. Now, the way this book works is chapters 1 and 2 are the getting started, get you into vectors and doing motion in 1 dimension. Next week, what we will do is we will cover projectile motion or motion in 2 dimensions, and that's going to be a separate chapter. And I don't like to go 5 weeks without a test. So what we're going to do is the first test will just be over chapters 1 and 2. What I have done in Blackboard is if you come into Blackboard and you go to our introduction to motion and you open this one up and you get your assignments for this chapter, you will now see down here that there is a quiz for chapters 1 and 2. It's in WebAssign, and I have picked the questions that will help you study for the exam for chapters 1 and 2. Now, the exam, it's also going to be in Blackboard. It will be multiple choice, and I will post it in the assignments, and I will show you exactly where it's posted next week. But I'm letting you know now because the test will become available at 1 a.m. on February the 11th. And it will stay open to go in and take the exam until 11 p.m. on Friday, February 13th. So anytime between 1 a.m. on February the 11th and 11 p.m. on February the 13th, you can go in and take the exam. You will have one chance to do the exam, and it is timed, and it's timed for 75 minutes. In order to get full credit, it will be multiple choice, but in order to get full credit, because I don't proctor exams, my exams are open book, open resource, but you're limited on your time. So that's one way I do the proctoring is that I limit your time. The other thing that I do the proctoring is I want to see that it's your own work. So for any question that has calculations associated with it, you need to show me your work. And that will be what I want you to do with that is I want you to scan in your work and upload your work. So the exam is going to be multiple choice, but I want to see your work. And if you do not submit your work, there is a 10-point penalty on the exam. And again, that is so that I don't have to send you to a testing center to have it proctored. I don't have to worry about that. So I want to make sure that it is your own work, and how I prove that is by having you submit your work. And by doing that, if you don't submit your work, there's a 10-point penalty. But the exam will be open. Again, it'll start at 1. You'll have it open or available to take from 1 a.m. on February the 11th to 11 p.m. on February the 13th. When you open it up, it has 75 minutes to do the exam, and then you also have to submit your work. Okay? So questions about the upcoming exam. The quiz is in WebAssign, so you'll just go in and do it. You just get one shot to take it, but it will help you study for the test. And the test is only going to cover chapters 1 and chapter 2. Okay, so you do have an evaluation for this week. Remember, that is how I take attendance, is in my evaluations. So you do have that. That is due on the 7th. And I teach some truly online classes. And for you all, this isn't as big a deal as it is because I don't have anything really due on Sunday, but Sunday is Super Bowl Sunday. And I know that a lot of people get together and do all kinds of stuff on Super Bowl Sunday. And I also want to remind everyone that the Winter Olympics start this week. So that is another thing that you have to kind of keep into account. You don't want to get distracted and you want to watch your due dates. I will show you a couple little other tricks because I do get people to say, well, Blackboard and Canvas are different. Well, yeah, but they're kind of the same too. So, but I will show you under the calendar feature. If you click here and look at due dates, you do have your due dates that are in here and you can click through for the various things. So if it has a 2025 due date, be aware that those are laboratory memos that I just haven't set the actual dates for yet. So don't sweat anything that's 2025. That is not late. It's only those things that have a 26 that we have actually gotten the due dates in here. So that is where those are. So you've got tonight. You have your first laboratory is due tonight. The one where we did your graphing and all of that, that is due tonight. And your laboratory for where you're dropping your object and it falling down is also due tonight. So be aware that those things are due tonight. We're going to talk about the next laboratory, and the laboratory that we're going to talk about does require the IO lab. And we're about to talk about that. And then I already talked to you about our, and this chapter 3 homework, it's likely, these due dates are likely to shift a little bit. Just be aware of that because we're going to have a test. I just haven't gone in and shifted those yet. Okay? So any questions about what's due, where things are in Blackboard, and the test and the quiz?